Hi, everyone, and welcome to Crushing Doubts live Q&A every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. It is great to be here with you again. I always love these times, and we'll see what questions come rolling in. This is a time, of course, where we can talk about any questions in the entire mind-body experience. We're all trying to sort this out together. I have my particular ways of understanding things, and I'm hoping that they are shedding some good light on things for people. So I wanted to welcome Mark Campbell. I see you on Instagram. I'm sure we'll be having other people roll in there. I see Diane Lewis has joined us on YouTube, and we've got questions coming in from Facebook as well. So we've got three sources where you can get questions to me. And of course, we do have some preloaded questions as well. So I'm going to get to one of those. Let's get to a preloaded question first, and then I'm going to take Diane's question in YouTube. And it's good to see Penelope on Instagram. Good to see you. All right, let's pull up the question from Yulia, which is actually a question that we ended up not being able to get to last time. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you. Okay. Here's the question from Yulia. She said, I've noticed a pattern with my TMS. Of course, everybody remember TMS is the term tension myositis syndrome, which is what Sarno called the mind-body experience in musculoskeletal issues, and then it became generalized. If I'm having a symptom and I engage in movement, walking, hiking, yoga, the symptoms go away. But as soon as I am done with the movement and back to life, it starts coming back. Any thoughts on that? Okay, let's leave this up here. So the first thing I want to say is a pretty consistent reminder that mind-body patterns can go in many, many different directions. And the reason for that is it follows your mind. So whatever's going on for your mind-body setup is going to determine how the symptoms go. Now, this profile Yulia is describing is one that I've heard from many different people. To me, that relates to something that I call attentional mind-body issues or attentional TMS. What it means is when you don't have your mind on a particular thing, it tends to drift back to the symptoms. So, Yulia, I would say this is an example of that. When you're engaging in movement, you're kind of getting your body and mind to see, hey, there's nothing wrong with you inherently, just in a bodily sort of way, and you relax into it. Now, for some people, that's not the case. They could do all of these movement exercises, and it could be triggering and lead to pain. So it can be different depending on who you are and how your mind's working. But how Yulia's mind is working here, those things she can relax into. Where she needs to iron some things out, and that's what she's asking about, is what do I do when I'm not doing that? Attentional mind-body issues, I just did a segment on this, and it distinguishes between two different types of attentional experience. One is the kind that is based in the fact that some of us have natural obsessive thinking, and that obsessive thinking is leading to thinking about the symptoms. So for those people, we want to use the emotions column and the power column to find our way out of that experience. However, for some people with attentional TMS, it's driven much more by fear. It's not so much that they're obsessing. They may obsess about it because it hurts or because they're upset about it, but the underlying mechanism is fear. With them, we want to go straight at the doubt column. So, Yulia, I would suggest we figure out which type is it for you. What's driving this? Always my answers are driven by find the nature of the question and go into that. Okay, I see Chronic Inspirations has joined us on Instagram as well. I see Penelope's question on there as well, and I'm going to get to that, but I'm going to start with Diane's in YouTube. She said, could you discuss the role of complex PTSD and mind-body symptoms? Okay, this is a big topic, so Diane, I'll give you the shorter answer, and then we can do follow-ups as people see fit. So complex PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, and complex means you've had multiple experiences of it. Some people have post-traumatic stress from like one event, and that can be horrific and very bad. But complex PTSD is when you have multiple things, often from childhood, just spilling into the whole makeup of your mind-body experience. One way of putting it is that you're more awash in the trauma. So it's a really interesting question, Diane. The role of complex PTSD in mind-body symptoms, I would say there's a lot of overlap and causality in it. But what the specific role is really going to depend on the person. I will say this. Everybody with a complex trauma background is much more likely to have mind-body symptoms. And in fact, it would be very unlikely that they wouldn't. So essentially what it does is, first of all, in the emotions column, it feeds a lot of these emotional themes are very active. So here's one way of thinking about it with respect to the emotions column. You're going to get a lot more acute symptoms when you have complex PTSD. A lot more acute symptoms. When you get to the doubt column, complex PTSD doesn't play that big of a role unless that emotion is really buried and you don't know what it's about and it's causing specific doubt. So whether you have complex PTSD or not, the columns work the same. In the power column, you can find that complex PTSD might make it harder to achieve power, might make it seem more dangerous. So it affects all three columns, but in the end, the rules still apply. And so, Diane, I don't know how satisfying an answer that is. You may need to do some follow-up on it, but that's a start. Okay, we've got a question from Mira. Good to see you, Mira. She says, hi, Dan, do you recommend any particular method to calm the nervous system? I notice pushing through the symptoms creates more symptoms and amps up the nervous system. Okay, so this is true for some people as well. Again, just a reminder, each person works differently. You've got to find the things that work for you. I've gotten questions before where people will say, oh, how come you don't put this kind of front and center in your system? And the reason for it is multi-determined. It's not that I'm against calming the nervous system, because I'm absolutely not. I think that's a great thing to do. And I do have a particular way that I do it for myself. What I found, though, is that my contribution to the mind-body community just comes in different areas. This is an area where a lot of people are providing great stuff. I point people in that direction. But another reason is that I find that my way of calming the nervous system mostly is through the columns. The columns themselves calm my nervous system by helping me feel like I understand this. I've got a good grasp on it. But Mira, I think you're talking about when it goes beyond that. When no matter how hard you're working on the columns, you're really revved up. In that case, I use a form of meditation. It's a very simple meditation, and I'll say it for you guys now. What I do is I have a mantra, and I repeat that mantra, and I let my thoughts come in and out, but I'll close my eyes, and I do a very short and quick breathing exercise, which is basically just you breathe in through the nose and breathe out. And I do that over and over, saying the mantra when I breathe out. And I found that this is very, very effective for people. You say the mantra when you breathe out, you keep doing that, and you do that for, I would say, a minimum of 5 minutes, but best to do it for maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops. You might even fall asleep, but that is a good way to calm things down. Teresa is mentioning for me, Qigong and Tai Chi helps her. There's all these different ways, and there's no wrong way. What I want you to do is find the way that works for you, Mira, but the way that I suggested is a way that works for me. And if it feels comfortable to try something coming directly from me and that helps in some way, by all means, take it and run. Okay, we've got a question from Penelope on Instagram. She said, do you know if Dr. Schubiner does Zoom sessions out of state? I actually don't, Penelope. I can find out for you, though. I would assume that he does, though. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. In this day and age, I think we all understand there's only so many mind-body practitioners out there, and sometimes you need a particular one. You know, when people reach out to me and they feel like you're the one that I'm resonating with, I think, speaking of crushing, it would be pretty crushing if I were to say, oh, no, I can't do that. Well, we really need solutions that work. And I think that we should all be working on doing Zoom sessions out of state if we can, when it's necessary. You know, we'll do our best to do it in state, but if it's not available, well, what are people supposed to do? That's, you know, pretty tough place to be. Okay. We have, Penelope said, I called and he said he only works with people in his state. Well, his answering machine did. Penelope, I think if you want to reach out to me, dan@crushingdoubt.org, I can get you his email and you could try to reach out to him that way and you might get a different answer. Michelle, welcome on Instagram. I see you. We have a question coming in from Facebook. This is from Ryan Edson. How do I remove doubt about posture or alignment causing pain? For example, any doctor or physio will see my right shoulder lower than my right and also pulled forward. I think the TMS has caused muscular holding patterns in my body, causing these misalignments. What is your take on this? Okay, again, let's leave this up there. For any question that's longer, I want to give it some time. So Ryan, thanks for reaching out here. I believe you reached out to me another time also, and I'm working on getting back to you there too. I will do that as well. But here, I will say this. I want to encourage you all not to get discouraged by things that are clearly physical, because I want to remind you all, it's all physical. It is all physical. So if you hear popping noises, that's physical, yes, but that's not evidence that it's not a mind-body thing. The same is true if you notice a physical misalignment where your muscles pulled forward or you seem to be misaligned. On top of that, I want to encourage you, be careful not to underestimate doubt. It will convince you that something is wrong. These slight little things where you can be like, I look misaligned to me, and you could be convinced it's totally true. It might not even be true. But regardless, in my experience, if you treat the mind-body stuff well, your body will just go right back into place totally normally. So what I would say, Ryan, is do not worry about that. Now, look, easier said than done. What I mean by that is not that that's so easy to do. I just mean don't take that as anything that you need to do anything about. Treat it as mind-body. I'll give you my guarantee that anything that's postural or alignment is mind-body. Those are faulty diagnoses that have been disproven in the best scientific journals in the world. So let me know, Ryan, if you need more information about that. And of course, I will be getting back to you as well. All right, jumping back to YouTube, we've got Mike P. Good to see you, Mike. He says, hey, Dan, hope all is well. Doing much better overall. Glad to hear it. However, today at work, I had a really stressful event happen, and I felt my lower back muscles tighten up in real time. What can I do about this in the moment? Thanks. Okay, Mike, this is something where you want to just work against fear, because when you have a little bit of a so-called flare-up, the first thing I do is challenge the notion that it's even a flare-up. I prefer to think of it, and I think this is more accurate, as your emotions column is active and the symptoms are trying to get a hold on you. If you don't buy in, it'll just go away. So that's the way to think about it. Think about it as like, it's like a little kid tugging at your sleeve. You can just look down and say, what do you need? It's your emotions column. Go straight to the emotions column and fight the doubt and fear by saying, this is not necessarily going to turn into anything. So Mike, follow up on that, please. But that's the place I'd start. Diane said about Yulia's question, great question, Yulia. I think it is something lots of people experience. Definitely more and more I'm getting attentional TMS questions. I think it's because it makes sense. It's one of those things that is one of those lingering things that a lot of people are experiencing. Okay, we've got a question. Penelope, I see your question about Alan Gordon's book. I'll get to you in a second, but Tyler has a question here. Hi, Dan. Here's a question. Why does doubt need to be completely eradicated? There were so many successes with Dr. Sarno with no discussion of doubt. Were these personalities just very trusting, or to put it harshly, stupid / unquestioning? I understand what you're saying. Or do you think they often got better at first, but then got worse later on? Okay, again, let's leave this up. There's a number of things in here. One of the reasons that I do the work that I do is that Sarno was so key in my getting better, but he didn't really talk about doubt. He talked about accepting the diagnosis fully, but there wasn't a lot of talk about what happens when doubt goes up and down. And it certainly is the case that in a lot of his books, as wonderful as they are, they're focused on the book cures. And I think it's a mix. I would not say that most of those people, I certainly wouldn't say they're stupid or unquestioning, even though I understand why you say it that way. But I would say that people who are less skeptical did have an easier time accepting it. However, I think it's more, A better way of putting it is this: it's not about who's more skeptical or not. It's about which explanations fit with which people. So Sarno's explanations, I think, worked very well for particular people. I was one of those people, actually, in some ways. He explained certain things, and I was like, that makes so much sense that I'm on board with it. But in the areas where he wasn't, I guess I was a mix of these. I was very trusting because I agreed with what he was saying. But then there were other things where I'm like, well, that didn't make sense. So I'm going to have to work at that. I also think that some of those people, unfortunately, would have had symptoms come back, because if you don't have a full understanding of it, you're often going to have the book cure. But then what happens when the symptoms morph or they come back in a different form? You're not as well prepared. This is one of the things I love about the columns. They set you up for success, and they set you up for a broader range of successes. They also tend to, I think, do a more thorough job for people who are skeptical or more careful or more diligent about these things. So I tried to serve that part of the community because that was a part of who I am. I just wasn't comfortable if there was a question left unturned. So I think that it's mostly the case that what Dr. Sarno was working on, it needed time to evolve and grow, and we needed to look at it more and see what was working and what wasn't and why. And it's a mix. And some people get better just from the information, and other people need to return to some questions they have. Some people need this columns work to structure it, and I'm here to provide it. And speaking of that, our next seminar is coming up Monday, October 4th. I love these seminars because they give people a very full picture of the mind-body experience as I see it. And I take into account the entire mind-body universe that I've heard about and what people are saying and why I think. So it kind of addresses some of these kinds of questions that Tyler is asking. But there's always going to be more. Even if you've been to the seminars, you could still have more. So keep them coming. And Tyler, let me know if I answered your question there. Okay, question from Penelope on Instagram. She says, what did you think of Alan Gordon's book? I think it's making me feel guilty because I haven't read it yet. It is next to my bedside. It is next up on the list, and I'll be getting to it shortly. But interestingly, there's another reason I haven't gotten to it, and that is that I want to finish writing my book before I read what he wrote, because I don't want to get swayed by what he is thinking there. I can't wait to read it. And I've heard it's, got a lot of great stuff in it, and I love his work. So I will let you know as soon as I get to it. That should be in about 2 months. Hopefully less than that. I'm working on the book feverishly. Okay, Linda Larde. Good to see you, Linda. When I put weight on my left leg, I can have pain in my hip flexor, thigh, knee, shin, either side of the shin, ankle, or foot. And my toes can feel weird. It only hurts in one spot at a time. Interesting observation, Linda. Let me just see. Okay, yes, you do have a follow-up to that. I've been told it's from stenosis and osteoarthritis together. I think it's TMS because it migrates, but it can be 8 out of 10 as I walk. It's really impacting mobility. It's been since May. Despair is moving in. Okay, Linda. And I see you then said, I need the science and all my questions answered. I'm a skeptic too. So I think that was in response to what Tyler was saying. And he says, thanks. So I'm glad that was helpful. So Linda, what you're describing to me in a weird way is good news, because it's so mind-body-ish. It's very TMS-y. And you pointed it out, it migrates. Not only does it migrate, but the fact that you can only have one of the symptoms at a time is another hallmark of mind-body experience. If you were truly injured in a purely physical way, it should behave the same way all the time. And it doesn't. And we find that these things are true across the board. In general, these symptoms do not behave the same way all the time. They change. And because they change over and over and over, that's a mind-body experience. Now, Linda, I understand you've got despair coming in because it's impacting your mobility. 8 out of 10 is a lot of pain to be dealing with. I just want to remind you We just have to get you the right information. I know you and I have been talking about how to do that, and we will work on the method to do that. Don't give up. The information is here. I can get it to you. And things haven't been moving on that particular symptom because it has sunk its teeth into you with, making you have fear. We'll keep working on it, but keep letting me know if there's anything I can do even today to get you some help with that. I see My Beautiful Adventurer has joined us on Instagram. Welcome. Good to see you here. All right. Let's see. I see Joseph has a question, but it was in response to something that I must have said. I don't know. He said, is what I need to work on. Let's see. Well, Joseph, I'm going to skip to your next question. And if you needed something with that, let me know, but I didn't quite follow that. All right. Joseph says, Dr. Dan, best way to address things in the emotions column that are dramatic. I found myself addressing a traumatic event, and I had no idea how much it affected me. I got extremely angry while doing emotional discovery. Once you get access to these emotions, what's the best way to handle the emotions in your opinion? Feel and release? Okay. Now, there is, Joseph has other questions, but good. We summed up this one. Please leave this up. So first of all, when you're doing emotions column work, it can be very intense. And I wish I could give you a hard and fast rule for how you will want to do things. But ultimately, we're moment to moment all the time. So you're going to need to take it one moment at a time. You might find that you're working on something and it hits you in such a way that it's just too much anger. You feel like you can't process it at that moment. And what I want you to do is always give yourself the full range of options. That might include, I'm not going to think about this right now. I'm going to write it down somewhere to come back to, and I'm not going to deal with it right now. It's too much. Or you might say, you know what? I need a way to channel this rage. I need to go be active. I don't know if you're like a baseball fan, you could go to a batting cage, or you could go play basketball and, play with some aggression, or you could, go for a run. Doing something physical when you are in that place helps. Now, I understand a lot of you are having physical symptoms that might be limiting you in some way, so you have to think about that as well. But I want you to think about, what do you need in that moment? In a way, this is a power column answer. Even if it doesn't come from the power column, it comes from the emotions column originally. You want to choose, what's the powerful path for me in this moment? Always in this moment. So, Joseph, choose the powerful path in each moment. And it could be one moment, it's to not think about it. Another moment, it's to write about it. Another moment, it's to talk to the person who caused the issue for you. Another moment, it might be to say, I'm going to find a way to put that away in my head in a way that makes sense to me. Boom, I'm done with it. Or it could be that if the emotion, this is another really good one. If the emotions column is too overwhelming, shift over to the power column, because power column is a way to deal with emotional life without going so directly at that one emotion. Might be a little too intense. So I don't know how satisfying an answer that is, Joseph, because I gave you like a lot of different answers. But in some ways, that's the idea. You want to have lots of different ways. So follow up with me on that, okay? Okay, Diane was following up on the first question. She says, thanks. Yes, that answers my question. This was about the complex PTSD. I thought others might also like the answer to this question as well. Diane, you're very thoughtful as always. Thank you for bringing it to the group. She also says, I also find that deep breathing helps me with a revved up nervous system, and during the day, a walk with my dog in nature really helps. You guys should always be looking for the things that work for you in any given moment. And really, the key is moment to moment thinking. There are times where I'm working in my columns and it's great. And then there are times where I'm like, I can't deal with the columns at all. And then there are times where I'm like, I can't deal with the emotions column, or I can't deal with the power column, or I jump around. They're all tools that you can use. They're all ways that you can understand things. And I want you to get your system down for what works when. So Joseph's question was a really important one, certainly for him, but I think for lots of other people. What do you do in those moments? I have the same conundrums. I have to say to myself, what do I do in these kind of moments? And I do have answers for you, so I'll keep telling you what I do, and hopefully that's of help. Okay, Penelope says, can people work with me one-on-one? They can, Penelope. The problem is time. I have a very long wait list for working with me one-on-one in consultation sessions. What I don't have the wait list for, the seminars, I mean, there is a wait in that they're scheduled a certain time, but you actually could see a seminar on recording right away. If you want to get it tonight, you can get it tonight. So there's always help right now. And the seminars are, you do get some interaction with me there. Of course, it's not one-on-one because there are other people in the seminars. I also do have group sessions. There's no wait list for that. Those are Fridays at 11 a.m. You can email me at dan@crushingdoubt.org if you want to be part of that. I'm likely to be setting up a second group soon because the demand is getting higher. You can get on my wait list, though, for one-on-one work. I also do referrals to other clinicians that I think are great and that I've trained in the work that I do. So I've got lots of different ways to help you. And Penelope, feel free to reach out to me and I'll help you in whatever way is going to work best for you that we can make work. Okay, Joseph says, for whoever asked the question about Dr. Schubiner, he doesn't do Zoom sessions, unfortunately. Okay, so Joseph knows this. Yes, he only does sessions. However, he actually responded to my email. I gave him my symptoms and he gave me his opinion. He said I had TMS. So that's helpful information, Joseph. Thank you for sharing that. And that really is good to know too, that, you know, he can be helpful in that way. All right. We have a question coming in from Facebook, from Susie. Hi, Susie. Okay. She says, I recently listened to an interview with Bruce Lipton, by David Hanscom, and he believed addressing spirit as well as mind and body was essential for good health. Why don't you include this element in your columns? Both men are venerated in the mind-body world. Okay. This is interesting for multiple reasons, but the way that I think about it is I do include that in my practice. That's power column work. It's just a different way of saying a similar thing to what they're saying in that. For me, if you're doing proper work in the power column, you are aligning yourself, your soul, with your life. There's nothing more spiritual than that as far as I'm concerned. So to me, that's more a question of semantics. But what I will say, and hopefully this will allay your fears on it or answer your question on it, is I agree with them. I think, you know, we want to be at peace with ourselves in every way that we can be. And if you're not at peace with your spirit or your soul, you're not going to be at peace. So more power to them for saying it the way they say it, reaching people in their audience in that way. And, you know, but what I'm offering and what I'm suggesting is totally in line with that. I did want to say, I was given a reminder that to get on the wait list for one-on-ones, I really very, very strongly encourage, and it actually bumps people up the wait list if they've taken the seminar. So the seminar changes the way I do the one-on-ones so well, it makes them so much more effective. And that's really the way that I'm operating. So Penelope, let me know if we can talk that through and we'll figure out what's best. Okay. Let's see. Diane said, which explanations work for which people? Great point, Dan. And I think in present day, why different practitioners resonate more for some people while others choose a different person. It's not that some ways are wrong. Thank you, Diane. I appreciate that observation. And I also think that fits with what Susie was saying about Bruce Lipton or David Hanscom. It's really all about who speaks to you in what way. Penelope, I see, said everyone's booked. And look, that's definitely, that sucks. But one thing I want to tell you, Penelope, is the seminars and the groups are extremely effective. I know it may not be what you're wanting, but in addition, my trained referral sources, they're not booked. So you can get help. Reach out to me and I'll get you set up in some way. Let's see. Linda said, the audiobook of Alan Gordon's book is great. He has a kind, compassionate voice like you. Thank you, Linda. That's very sweet of you to say. I also just did want to say, I agree with you about Alan's voice. There's something very soothing about it. And the reason his voice is soothing, I think, is because he means what he's saying. You can tell. And his kindness really comes through. So I look forward to reading his book. All right. Diane is making a follow-up to something Linda said. Linda said, I need the science and all my questions answered. I'm a skeptic too. And then Diane said, me too, Linda. I was trained in science, so I need this as well. Some of my beliefs and understandings have been blown out of the water, though. So thank you for sharing that, Diane. And that's kind of an important point, because for the people who really need the science, the sciencey side of things, or the logical side of things, even they can find that their belief systems were off, I don't know, on a tangent or not in the right place. And I find that the work that I do is very centering to bring it back. This also fits with what Susie asked, though. My way of thinking about this relates to how I think about it, and it relates to what I think needs to be offered that isn't already out there. But I think we have a lot more agreement in the mind-body community. We're often saying things in a different way, and sometimes it's about how it reaches the person. And for Diane, or maybe for Linda, the way that I talk about things really matches up for what it is they're looking for. It gives them a way to think about it in a way that puts their mind at ease. And that's what it's all about. This is about getting you a sense of peace that you understand what is happening. So Linda says, TMSE. I love that. Yes, the symptoms don't act structural, but they are stubborn as hell. She says, I'm not a quitter, but yes, fear is up. And I totally understand, Linda. These things can be very, very hard. And I want you to keep working at it. One thing that I'll say, based on what I've heard you say, though, is you've made huge progress with lots of other symptoms. This one symptom is being very, very stubborn. And what that means, actually, in a way, I feel weird saying this because you won't love that there is a sense of me saying it's good news. If you conquer this one, the whole thing's going to fold like a house of cards. So when you have a stubborn symptom, even though it's so hard, it's so frustrating, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to go for the jugular of doubt. And I will help you do that, Linda. We just need the right information. Okay, Scotty Styles has joined us on Instagram. He says, hello, good to see you, Scotty. Penelope says, I'm doing a lot better. 4 months into my journey, looking for that last 30%. Pain reprocessing is the key. That's great, Penelope. I mean, I'm extremely happy for you that you've come this far. If I can help you get that last 30%, and I really believe that I can, and it's kind of one of the kind of specialties that I do have, is finishing off doubt. I will drive a stake into its heart. So you let me know when you're ready, and I'll jump on it. Okay, Michelle said, can I hear you say again that conditioned responses can be a form of doubt? Need to hear this again. Okay, Michelle, thank you for bringing that up because it's going to be helpful to lots of people as well. So Michelle and I were talking at one point, and she was saying, I don't have doubt, but I have these conditioned responses, meaning, I experience the symptoms at a certain time or in a certain way, and they just come back. And so what I said to her, and seemed like it helped her a lot at the time, is that conditioned responses become their own form of doubt. Once you have a conditioned response, you come to feel, oh yeah, this is going to happen again. So let's say you get pain in the morning and you attribute it to stiffness. Well, what we could say is that's a conditioned response. But what happens is doubt can hide there. It can say, oh, well, you believe in stiffness, so I'll just hide right there. And as a result, the conditioned response itself can be a form of doubt all by itself. It wasn't the original form of doubt. Doubt may have gotten the conditioned response going, but then it has a life of its own. So, Michelle, I need to hear from you as to whether I said it as well this time. I don't know that I did. I'm a moment-to-moment being even when I give these answers. So let me know if that covers you. But I know that was huge for you, and we'll keep at it. And if I didn't get it quite right this time, I will, because I know the answer. All right, Linda says, I like having many options. Every situation can require a new tool. Totally agree. She mentions Dr. Schubiner has responded to my emails as well. He does tend to be really good at about that, which is really incredible because he's answering a lot of emails. So kudos to Dr. Schubiner for that, to Alan Gordon for his book and his work, and to all the other mind-body people out there who are doing such good work. I'm glad to be out here with them and providing help in some other ways. Okay, Joseph says, thanks for the answer, Dan. I wish things can be cut and dry because I just want the step that will give me symptom relief. I will do my best to follow the powerful path after emotional discovery. Oh, and he said that my answer was satisfying. You are too kind. I do hope that it was satisfying in a certain way. But I also want to say, Joseph, even though we are moment-to-moment beings and there's always going to be a different answer, one thing that you can remember is those answers really do start to shrink over time. As you get your answers, you're like, oh yeah, when this happens, I do this. When this happens, I do this. It's kind of like when Mike P said, well, what do I do when I'm sitting at my desk at work and I start to get, some back pain? I said the thing that I do. It's programmed into my brain. I know I'm going to do that. The second it's there, I think emotionally and I go right to town on doubt. And I'm like, this is not necessarily, I actually do better than this. I was going to say I'm not necessarily going to develop pain, but that's already giving it a doubt some. What I usually like to come with is there's no chance this is going to develop in anything. This is just emotions column work. I'm not going to freak out about this. What's going on right now? And that's what I do in those moments. So Joseph, as you keep going, you're going to find what to do in each type of moment for yourself. And that's going to really help you, and it's going to shrink it, and it's going to make it feel more cut and dry. That's really where the columns come from me, is they're my cut and dry answers. I wish that they were not quite as sprawling as sometimes they can be, but I don't find them to be that sprawling. If you can sum up an entire mind-body system in 8 sessions of a seminar and it covers everything, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. And I keep working to shrink it in other ways to make it more accessible for people. Okay. Diane says, let me bring this over here. Sorry. Very interesting that our bodies can only deal with one big symptom at a time. I recently had a big fall tripping over a friend's dog and I had injuries. All of my other symptoms disappeared for 2 to 3 days. Very, very routinely the experience people have, and such an important example of what we're talking about. This is evidence. Some people say, oh, what an interesting phenomenon, but it's evidence. That's the thing. Everything is evidence. And I want to get back to Susie is very good at bringing up deep questions that challenge me, and I appreciate you for that, Susie. One thing I want to say, I was thinking about what Diane said here and how it fits with your question about addressing spirit as well as mind and body. To me, this information being scientific and fitting with the logic of things doesn't mean you stop there. Because for me, the most spiritual thing that I've ever experienced was getting better from back pain. The idea that things made sense was spiritually healing to me. So just wanted to put that out there. Okay. Joseph says, I'm just doing my best not to repress. That's good. I can trust your answer. Well, let's scroll down. Okay. I can trust your answer is not promoting any emotional repression, doctor. It's definitely not. Your repression tends to get weaker in its ability to have a hold on you once you have access. So once you've gotten access, I mean, look, if you're prone to repression, write it down somewhere so that it's there so you can come back to it if you truly aren't going to remember. But otherwise, I would say it's working its way out, and it just needs to be titrated a little bit, maybe not all at once. I see Betty S37 has joined us on Instagram. Good to see you. Okay. Linda says, I find the support and validation really help calm my nervous system, and that helps. I'm glad to hear it, Linda. Okay. Oh, for some reason, Joseph says, for some reason, my first question got chopped off. Here it is. I finally got doubt and power column down, then symptom imperative hit. Main symptom moved, and a new symptom popped up. Are symptoms moving always a clear indicator emotions column is what needs attention? I see that's what Sarno thought based on his books, while others say it can just be extinction burst of the repression defense mechanism. Okay, a lot in here. I'm going to get to as much as I can of it. I would say this. If your primary symptom was a doubt column one, or you're having a symptom that doesn't move at all, and now you're getting symptom imperative, now you're getting the symptoms to move, that's a sign of progress. That means your doubt column symptom is finally getting moved out of doubt. You're conquering doubt. But if you're just moving from one symptom to the next all the time, and it's going with your emotions, yes, it is a sign that the emotions column is what it needs attention, 100%. And often, Joseph, when you work your way out of the doubt column, the emotions column is where to work. It sounds like that's what's going on for you. You've gotten the doubt column and power column into a place where you like and are feeling pretty good about. It's time for that emotions column work. You just might need to give yourself a break at times if it's too much. Okay, Penelope says, what did you think of Alan's explaining of how the crazy acute flares while doing the work is like the TMS extinguishing? Penelope, I don't know if that was in his book or not. I got to get to it, but let me see. Do I remember him saying anything about that? What do you think of Alan's explaining the crazy acute flares while doing the work is like the TMS extinguishing? Okay, I can answer that anyway. I think that as you do the TMS work, doubt is going to fight back. It was in his book. Okay. I haven't read the book yet, Penelope, but I think doubt is going to fight back. It wants to claim its territory. It wants to keep a hold on you. So as you master things, there can be these crazy acute flares, and they just try to fool you over and over and over. You knock them down one by one. It's a little like whack-a-mole, but you do get there. And I think that will lead to the TMS extinguishing. Okay. Linda says, Diane, yes, I have seen that one TMS symptom will bump another off center stage. Exactly. Okay. Mira says, I have multiple symptoms activated all at once. Okay. So this is important. You can have all kinds of different mind-body experiences. For some people, you're going to have one symptom that knocks off another. Mira, one way you might think about these multiple symptoms is they might be like a symptom cluster that you could characterize as a symptom. The symptom is this, because you could have a headache with stomach distress. You try to think of it as if you've got multiple symptoms going on at once, it might relate to one overarching thing. Either way, you want to focus on which column is the primary column you're working in and get to work there. Mira, let me know if you have more questions about that, because there's more to talk about here, and we're running low on time, so I'm going to do my best. Okay. All right. Let's see. Suraj Singh says, hi, Dan, you skipped my question, so now I got to skip back up and find you. Sorry about that, Suraj. Yes, I did. I'm sorry about that. Thank you for drawing that to my attention. He says, hi, Dan. Does other kind of chronic symptoms, sensations like burning, stiffness, heaviness, crackling sounds with every step are also TMS? I'm referring to my chronic knee symptoms. Thanks. Absolutely. Anything the body can do for purely physical reasons, it can do for mind-body reasons. That includes those sounds. As I've said, all that needs to happen is the mind needs to generate some air in the fluid in between joints, and boom, pop, 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 pop everywhere. All of those things, any sensation you can have, can be for mind-body reasons. Suraj, let me know if that, answers your question well enough. Okay, let me see. Diane says, oh, hold on. Michelle is responding to my answer of her question. Yes, and I did ask again, not just for me, but for others, as I found this so profound. I know, Michelle, I knew you were going to do that, and I appreciate that you did. Diane says, Michelle, such a good question about conditioned responses. Your answer was helpful, Dan, and I think lots of us have conditioned responses. I didn't realize it was doubt. Conditioned responses, yes, I think it's very important to label as doubt. It is really that way. And it's helpful. I think Michelle found it helpful. I think you all will too, to think about it that way, because that, if you think of it just as a conditioned response, it's like something outside of you. It doesn't relate to you. But the fact is, everything comes through the columns. At least I find that my columns, they cover everything. That includes doubt. And you can see conditioned responses fits right into the doubt column. That's where it belongs. So I will keep organizing these things for you and getting more answers. The questions you ask are bringing more answers. They often lead to a new podcast. I've got another one coming out this week about the types of questions that are helpful to ask versus the ones that get you sidetracked. That came from some questions. This question about conditioned responses, I'll put it down as a topic that I'm going to address. So I'll work on it. Okay, 2 more questions, and then we got to wrap up for today. This is also from Facebook, a follow-up from Ryan. I also have an allergy to the sun called solar urticaria that developed the same year I got chronic pain. I get hives when skin is exposed to sunlight. Do you think that could also be TMS? Absolutely. In fact, my brother had the same thing. And at the time, he was 18. I was 15. I didn't know anything about this, but I remember thinking, that seems like it might relate to some kind of upset, because he was upset at the time. And so absolutely, Ryan, 100%. Go to a doctor if you're worried there's something more seriously wrong, but I'd be shocked if there was anything. And in the meantime, with respect to whether that could be a mind-body condition, I have no doubt whatsoever. Pun on the no doubt part. Okay, I'm going to see if there's anything else to get to. Here, there's a lot. There are a couple comments I haven't gotten to. Oh, okay. Diane says, same for me, Joseph. The minor things don't take symptoms away, but the big ones do. So maybe that addresses Mira's question about multiple symptoms. If you've got a major symptom, and by the way, the major symptom might not be physical, could be, purely psychological. It could knock things out of the water. If you suffer a catastrophic loss, you might find, oh my God, I didn't realize it, but I haven't had back pain for all this time. So these are good things to think about. Penelope's saying, how far out are your personal bookings for just a one-off call? Penelope, it's still pretty long, but email me, dan@crushingdoubt.org. Okay. Linda said, I had that sun reaction thing when I was 8 and getting bullied. It sucked. Long sleeves all summer. Linda, I'm so sorry to hear that. And look, every time we make these observations, we're helping each other. So thank you for everybody for sharing your thoughts on this. I think we're all helping each other. My system is set up to help with organization of this, with ways to understand it, to leave no question unturned. But the fact that we help each other see these things is such a wonderful thing, and I'm thankful for this community. So once again, the next seminars are October 4th, Monday, October 4th. You can get the seminars on video as well. You can go to www.crushingdoubt.org to order any of those. I have all kinds of ways to get you help. So reach out to me. Do not give up. Contact me. Let's find the right solution for you, and we will push to get you the information that you need. Thanks so much, guys, and I look forward to seeing you the same time next week. It's been a pleasure talking to you all. Take care.